Right. Hello, welcome to Terra Science. Today we have a guest speaker, Gina Osborn. She's going to be a speaker also at TEDxManteca on April 13th. Gina is going to speak at TEDx along with other speakers. It's the first time TEDx is coming to Manteca, so it's exciting. And so, Gina, welcome to Terra Science.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Gina, it's great. Uh, First, I would like to know a little bit more about yourself. Tell us about your past and what brought you to TEDx.
I started my 28-year law enforcement career in the U.S. Army back in the 80s. I was a counterintelligence agent during the end of the Cold War and had an amazing opportunity to pretty much chase spies across Europe for about 6 years. And then in 1996, I wound up becoming an FBI agent, and I worked Asian organized crime, counterterrorism, and the last 11 years, I was the assistant special agent in charge of cyber and computer forensics for FBI Los Angeles.
Wow, that is a very kind of uh, not normal path of career. So, are you able to talk about some of these things, what you did, or is it all like secret?
Sure. No. I talk about it. I do a lot of
Yeah,
keynote speaking, and I
yeah.
use my stories to help people have shift their mindsets a little bit to make maverick moves. And I have a podcast called Making Maverick Moves, and so that's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about when I come to Manteca, talking to people about how they can shift their mindsets to have the courage to go out and make their maverick moves.
So yeah, actually, that's interesting. So when you say Maverick moves and shift the mindset, so we here at Terra Science are always interested in consciousness. Being aware of how do we know who we are and how do we know what's around us, and that's at the heart of even being able to knowing what mindset you are in the first place, and then knowing wanting the need to shift it. So what if I'm correct, are you talking about taking on challenges that are hard to, maybe problems that are hard to solve, and then shifting your mindset to figure out ways to solve it and making, maybe even doing a like complete pivot, right? To have the courage to pivot. Is that what you're talking about?
If we could do that, but that sounds like a really, really big piece of the elephant. If you're going to eat an elephant, you do it one bite at a time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think we start with the voices in our head because really, when
Hmm.
you think about it, the most time that we spend in any given day is with ourselves and everything that we listen to and everything that we talk to ourselves about. And if we are not nice to ourselves, if we don't give ourselves or empower ourselves to be able to go out and do the things that we want to do, I think that really gets in the way. So I think a lot of the times when I'm doing my public speaking, I'm helping people get out of their own way in order to be able to have breakthrough success.
That's interesting. So in a way, what you're saying is listen to your voice inside you. Is that is that
Well, I would say listen to your voice inside you as long as it's saying nice things to you. If it's not saying nice things to you, then we need to work on that mind shift and
okay?
setting up boundaries within our
I see.
mind to be able
Uh-huh.
to listen to the good things and also listen to some of the bad things, but not let the bad things take over what we do in real life.
Okay, wow. There is this is really an interesting topic to me now because this is what we actually work towards as a research.
Mhm.
So this gets a little bit into psychology, but uh, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to understand, because
Mhm.
what you're talking about can have multiple applications. So let's take two different scenarios. One is some um, trauma, something terrible happens to someone, and then they have to now deal with it, and there will be like tendencies for people to be a little bit more go towards depression. And so now there are some bad things coming up in the voice, and it may be very hard to to change it. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. So the second part is just some people's personalities. Maybe they don't know how to deal with somebody else's reaction action. So their reaction may be a little bit a bit towards the negative side. So I want to separate those two bad things. One bad thing is which is out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
The other bad thing is that may be under your control. So
Mm-hmm.
so how
Mm-hmm.
how would you deal with? I can understand things that are under your control. You can maybe do something and try to change your what your inner voice is telling you. But many times, I think more frequently, it's things that are out of your control that take
Mm-hmm.
over, right? So
Yes,
how
I think
how do you deal with that?
I hear what you're saying, but where I'm coming from is maybe it's more of less of the talk and more of believing what is said. So if someone
Hmm,
says, I'm stupid, I can't do anything right, I'm the problem, then how do we get past that in our everyday life? But if we have somewhat of a little bit of self-discipline and we really monitor those things, so maybe we allow ourselves to talk that way maybe 15 minutes a day instead of
hmm,
all day long. So then that way we can be ready for it. Okay, pile it on, and then when those voices come up outside of that 15-minute period, maybe we can say, okay, no, we have to wait until this specific time, and then really be mindful of how much of the time we're having those negative talks telling us that we can't do what we want to do in any given day. And really, we live in this world of chaos, but a lot of times we bring that chaos onto ourselves. And I just did a podcast episode on eliminating our tolerations. So when you think about what you tolerate in any given day, and this can be, for example, the boxes that are piled up in your garage. You have to barely get your car in because there's so much clutter everywhere. You come in, bring your groceries in, sit them down on the counter. The counter's wet because the faucet's been leaking for the last couple of weeks. When you eliminate the things that we're tolerating, and that's the boxes in the garage and the leaky faucet that we haven't fixed in the last 2 weeks, there's this feeling of empowerment, and you get more space in order to get out of that chaos and really do put that energy towards bigger and better things. So imagine pulling into that garage and it's all cleaned out, and you have that feeling of release that you don't have
hmm.
to think about that one more thing that's cluttering not only our mind but our garage, right? So, how easy is it to take a Saturday or even hire someone to come and do it? So there are so many different things that we're tolerating, the little things all the way up to the big relationships problems that we can fix. And if we eliminate those tolerations one by one, then we'll be able to get to be able all that energy back to be able to address what it is that we really want to do.
Okay, well, I sorry. Thanks for reminding me about my garage. I really need to clean it too. But uh, but I see what you mean. So what you're trying to propose is the ability for each individual to kind of allow themselves a little bit of space, but not tolerate negativity that arises from maybe things that they've been accumulating as thoughts. So thoughts that are in their mind that they haven't
Mm-hmm.
dealt with, or
Mm-hmm.
they have a nagging voice. You need to do this. You need to do this, but they're not doing it, and that slowly pulls them down. Is that
Mm-hmm.
all right? And
That's
that just
exactly right.
and then you're talking about that deals with not just chores or things, or maybe even like I want to be a vegetarian, but I keep eating meat, or right, all the way from there to relationships, like you said. So because you can be in a bad relationship and you want to do something but you don't, because you keep just accepting it. And so these are the kinds of things right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the maverick in your what you're calling a maverick would be someone who kind of takes charge and makes a change.
Yes, and a maverick can be somebody who can make a big leap with major
Yeah.
change, but you have to start somewhere. And so on my podcast, I meet everybody where they are, and I provide, I have experts coming, I have people who have made maverick moves come onto my podcast and take about these massive maverick moves. One of the guests that I had was the LA Fire Chief, Kristen Crowley. I wound up speaking with her before the fires. And then at that time, I asked her, what is a maverick move that you're making? And she said,
Mhm.
Gina, I don't have the resources to do my job. And so I am working on getting those resources to be able to address what's going on in our city. And then fast forward about 2 months, we see
Yeah.
the fires and the fact that she
Hmm.
didn't have those resources. So I have guests on like that, but then I also have experts come on to tell
Hmm.
us how we can make those small changes within ourselves in order to be able to get to the point where we can make those maverick moves. And so I just had a courage expert come on
Hmm.
talking about, what courage is and how we can really exercise our courage muscles in order to be able to do those things.
Okay, well, this is interesting. So uh, I would like to ask you a question that may be a little bit personal because I'm gathering something in your past during when you were chasing all those people across Europe and you're doing all those things. Something in that process made you think about these things. It must have come from all the hardships or things or rethinking how to approach the. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Is that where you start to develop these ideas?
I think so. It's a lifetime of experiences, I think. But
Yeah.
after I left the FBI, I worked at LA Metro. I was the chief safety and security officer there. And I can tell you, I have never seen more violence, even in the 28 years of my
Mhm.
career, than my 2 years at LA Metro. And so I really learned about how to eliminate those tolerations because working in that type of a situation or any other crisis, and I've dealt with a lot of chaos, crisis, and change in my career. And so I've learned along the way that we are the ones who are responsible for the chaos in our lives. Not all of the chaos, but a lot of the chaos. And as you brought up in the beginning, it starts with the voices in our head. And if you allow chaos to fester, it's going to turn into a crisis. So I think in this day and age, everybody lives in chaos. And if they're not living in chaos by having to pick the kids up and take them to soccer practice and do this, this, and this, then that's kind of, it's all feeding itself. So what
Mhm.
I'm trying to help people with, and if you go to my website, GinaLosborn.com, you can
Mhm.
find my very free tolerations guide and how to eliminate
Mhm.
tolerations. But again, it starts with what we tolerate. We are what we tolerate. And so what I learned at LA Metro is the more that I tolerated, the more chaos and crisis that came in any given day. The less that I tolerated, the more I was able to get my arms around it.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance, right, in there because many times, as I do research, I'll tell you what comes to my mind when you talk about tolerance. As a researcher, you have to do experiments, and sometimes those experiments can take 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you set your experiment up just the right way and let it go, and then something will happen all of a sudden, and at the end when you look, oh, this tiny thing, so the whole thing has to be scrapped. Then you do it again, then something else completely different, not the one that you fixed. So again, I go back to the same kind of idea. Some things are out of your control,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to tolerate, because in certain those conditions, things that are happening, you not only have to tolerate them, but you have to be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be liking what's going on, but you have to continue to keep doing that to succeed. Whereas on the other side, what you're talking about, so we have to, separate emotional from, let's say, practical. Right? So practical things, many times you have to tolerate, and in fact, they make you stronger. They make you, uh, uh, they give you experience and turn you into, but then there are the emotional things. So uh, I think the challenge seems to be the personality. I mean, that's why, I said it's getting into psychology. So each person is different, and how they are trained, or how they have, since they were a child, how they have trained or learned to separate emotion, practical, all of these challenges. That training, I think, can lead people to kinds of maverick moves that you're talking about, and in a way, that's essential, because if that doesn't exist, then just knowing that I'm dealing with this is not enough to get out of it, because you have to have the tools to be able to get out of it, right? So you said your website has some of those tools.
So yes, if you go to GinaLosborn.com,
Yeah.
there is a tolerations guidebook that will help
Yeah.
you eliminate your tolerations. And I'm telling people that if you make a list, make the
Uh-huh.
easy and prioritize that list from easiest to hardest. And
Uh-huh.
I want to hear from you when you clean out your garage this weekend, how that makes you feel and how much more space and energy that you have, because you're not beating yourself up every time you drive into your garage and you know that it needs to be cleaned up. So really what I'm telling people is gather that energy, because we all have things that we want to do. We all have dreams that we want to make happen. But as long as we're fighting each and every day to just survive the chaos, we're never going to thrive.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally get it. So it's a really important message in terms of knowing when you are sort of like under certain pressures and challenges, and just getting the energy and the ability to get out of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay, great. Well, it's great. Gina, I know you also have another appointment coming up soon, so I just wanted to quickly, before we go, I just wanted to mention again TEDxManteca. Everyone should get tickets to it. It is at the Great Wolf Lodge here in Manteca. Gina Osborn is one of the speakers. We have other speakers: Arun Mohan, Mayor Gary Singh, a high school student, Viksha Sudiradi, Dr. Sujit Punam from Kaiser, or no, from he's a doctor, heart doctor, and then Sandeep Gandhi. So all of these speakers and their bios are on the TEDx Manteca website. So check it out, and we'll also put all these links down there. So Gina, it's so good to have you here, and wish you all the best at TEDx.
Thank you. We'll see y'all there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for listening to Terra Science. Always remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Terra Science. We hope to see you next time.
And so the two things that motivate me are the beauty of our environment, the uniqueness of our planet, of course, but also the people I've met, and the fact that people do want to play a stewardship role. They do. I haven't heard someone say, no, I want to pollute the planet. It's kind of like the tragedy of the commons takes over. And so I see a lot of potential to change the course with the kind of information that we're generating. It's just part of the foundation of the answer.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.